Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NinaRibena's Art Journal Prompts and More. It's February week 2 and so time for another Junk It Up project. This week I am going to be altering this box. It's just a piece of packaging that has been in my stash for a while. I am a hoarder of boxes. I think this one had a wallet in it, but any kind of box would do for this type of project. Now what I am going to do, this has got little bits of glue on it, probably where the price tag was, so I am just going to take some fine grit sandpaper and I'm just going to lightly go round the outside because this has got a very slightly shiny finish to it, so I'm just going to go all the way over all the surfaces before I start painting this box. I'll do exactly the same with the bottom part of it as well. And of course, whenever you're sanding a project, it's just important to wipe the dust away using a damp baby wipe or a tissue. I'm going to be using two colours to decorate my box. I start off by using the darkest colour first, which is a turquoise colour. I'm using the Pebeo Deco Cream, which is a chalk paint. It's designed for painting furniture, so it's really durable, comes in lots of gorgeous colours and dries really quickly too. I end up giving this piece 3 coats just to achieve the coverage that I'm after, but this is really quick and easy to do. Now, of course, my box is yellow on the inside, well the top of the box is, and so I just colour the yellow in with a Sharpie marker. Sorry, I've got my head in the way, but it covers it up really nicely, and of course it's quick and easy too. And then I add some Sharpie marker to the top of the box as well, just where I've got some of that yellow poking through on the outside. I'm using a household candle just to apply a good layer of wax to all the sides and surfaces of my box. You need to be quite heavy-handed with this. I don't apply enough wax for my liking first time round, and so I do end up applying another layer of wax after it's had the first coat of the lighter colour paint. I'm using Pebeo Deco Cream again. I think this colour is called Linen, and again I just add 1 coat this time of the paint all over my box. Now the wax provides a really lumpy bumpy texture, and it's at this point that I realise that I could really have done with a thicker layer of wax, so I just go over my box again, and yes, you'll see it is removing some of the paint, but that's fine, it doesn't matter because I'm going to give it another coat of paint, and then once that's dry I'm just going to remove some of the linen paint with some fine grit sandpaper, and of course it will reveal some of the turquoise that's underneath. And as I say, the wax just gives it a lovely texture and acts as a resist to some of that paint that's underneath. Now I could have gone even heavier with the wax. I think if I did this again I'd really build up a very heavy layer. Notice that I'm rubbing away more on the corners and along the edges, just those areas that would get more natural wear and tear. I'm decorating the lid of my box with one of these Stamperia rice papers. I just love these fairies. You could use napkins as well, would do the job in much the same way. Rice paper is just a bit sturdier and less fragile, so if you use napkins you'd have to be a bit more careful. So I just cut out one of these gorgeous fairies once I've made my mind up which one I want to use, and then I'm just trimming it just to fit the size of the box. Now the easiest way to glue it down is to hold your rice paper firmly in place using your fist. Then apply a bit of glue just to the top of the box and just check that you've got it in the right position before you apply more glue to the rest of the lid. And then I just use a store card just to rub over the top of the rice paper. Be really gentle if you're using a napkin, of course, because it will tear really easily. And this will just get rid of any air bubbles. And I just apply a second coat of Mod Podge over the top of the rice paper just for added security. Now, to disguise the edges of my rice paper, I use the Bow Bunny stamp set. It's called Stitches stamp, Bow Bunny Stitches stamp, because I've already got some stitching on my rice paper, and this just adds a nice border around the piece. And as I say, it just disguises where I've cut the rice paper out. If you tear your rice paper or napkin, you wouldn't see this harsh edge, but I just didn't have enough wiggle room to be able to do that without running the risk of tearing into the actual image. So this is my quick fix, and I'm using archival ink to stamp this. And to finish my box off, I use a gold puffed heart. This is just a cheap set from Poundland. The heart's a bit shiny, so I just use some fine grit sandpaper to dull it down. And then to add to that vintage vibe, I go over all the surfaces of my box with some Distress ink in frayed burlap, just to give it that real vintage old feel. And finally, I'm just adding a layer of varnish just to protect it and seal it, and hopefully this will help my box to last for a very long time. I left my box to dry and harden overnight, but I found that the lid was sticking where I'd applied the varnish. So I just apply a thick layer of furniture wax. Any furniture wax will do for this. So I apply a thick layer over all of these surfaces and then leave it to dry for about 15 to 20 minutes before I polish it off with a microfiber cloth. And now when I take my lid on and off, it just glides much more smoothly. Now you all know the love affair I have at the moment with Treasure Gold, so of course out it comes again. And I just apply a thin coat of Treasure Gold around the top of the, top and bottom of the lid, and around all the edges and corners as well, and it just gives it, a really nice touch. And finally, I promise you, finally, just to add a finishing touch to the inside top and bottom of my box, I've got some matching papers. This is from a pad that I got from Poundland. Now, my box is not quite even, so I'm just taking a Sharpie marker here just to add a bit of a border, just so that you won't be able to see any of that cardboard when I add my paper. I just edge the paper as well with some Distress ink in frayed burlap, and then I just use regular PVA glue just to glue it down. So here's my finished box for this week's Junk It Up challenge. I love how this has turned out. Let me just show you all the way around. Really grungy. I love the vintage vibe of this one. I love the addition of the heart as well, just to keep in with this week's prompt. And I just think it's finished it off as well, just by adding the papers to line the box inside. And the reason I added the wax as well is because the varnish it's not sticky, but it has sort of like a tacky feel, and by adding the wax it just means that the lid of the box slides on and off much more easily. So that's it. I want to have a go at decorating more of my boxes as well, because it's just a great way to use up decoupage papers and napkins napkins. Now the ones I used today is a decoupage paper by Stamperia. And let me just have a look and see if it says on it what it is. I don't think it does. But I got these from eBay. They're quite expensive. They're about anything from about $2.50, $2.65 each. Sometimes you can get them on clearance, but I've got a few different designs and I really do need to use them because I've had them for best part of a year. I think it was the spring that I ordered them last year, but you know, just a lovely way to use them. So, you know, just a nice box to fill with all sorts, or fill with happy mail to give away to your friends. So I look forward to seeing what everybody else decides to do for this week's Junk It Up challenge. You can decorate a box if you want to, or do something completely different, entirely up to you. But if you like today's project, as always, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up because it really does let YouTube know that you like what I'm doing. And let me know what you think in the comments below as well. I always love to hear what you have to say. And take care, everyone. Don't forget that if you want to tag me in other social media, use the hashtag NinaRibena. And of course, feel free to share this idea with your friends. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.